When I was in UPTV, we worked a lot on short sketches and short drama films. We also worked with the film studies program on the Hyundai Lens of Loyalty Challenge for student films and won $10,000 for the university. The Hyundai Lens of Loyalty Challenge was a intercollegiate competition between different film schools, and ours was called Growing Up a Pitt Girl. It was about a girl whose parents met at the University of Pittsburgh and transferred their loyalty to the institution to her despite her team losing. And it was an exercise in showing how loyalty transcends maybe what people think loyalty means to an institution, such as just when your team is winning or just when it's doing well. It's more about the connection you have with the university and the institution in the first place, the memories it generates and the connections you make with other people when you're there. UPTV's culture when I was there was pretty relaxed. We had a lot of fun. We met weekly on Tuesday nights at 10 for our general body meeting, and then we would discuss the shows that we were working on, pitch our ideas for other help, and go over other matters of business. Throughout the week, people would make use of the UPTV studio for their own student films or for their own projects. And we would host a semesterly 24-hour film festival where we would turn around an entire film within 24 hours. That was usually a pretty big hit. You're in a room with all of your friends, you're spitballing ideas, and you're coming up with just these outlandish, outrageous stories, and you're just going for it. You don't have much time to get stuck. You get an idea, and all of your teammates contribute, and everyone is just in it for a full 24 hours over the weekend. My favorite 24-hour film festival video that I worked on was called Soul Survivor, and that was about a man who, after a night of drinking, devolves into his other personalities, each one vying to take control over his body until he wakes back up in the morning to begin the entire drama all over again. It's a whole bunch of different personalities, though. We had a lot of people partaking in it. UPTV has some pretty outlandish stuff there. There's Oats, which back in my day was playing every day from 5:30 to 9:30, just straight on a loop as just a classic UPTV morning. That's the one that honestly sticks with me the most. It was before my time, but Oats is definitely the most popular. Yeah, there's another one about the metal pause bar sculpture that just hangs in the ceiling, the death trap. That's another one that was pretty iconic. But then there are a few other documentaries that we did that were pretty neat. We did, documentaries of the bomb threats or about the election riots that happened afterwards. There was the G20 documentary. It was a two-parter that was pretty cool to see and watch. Get that student's perspective of an historic event. We also would occasionally do footage for the news teams around us. We had another bomb scare a year after the 2012 bomb threats, and we were capturing footage of that for the local news. There's so many projects there to love. Being a part of UPTV, I learned how to organize myself better, how to pitch my ideas to people who didn't necessarily come from my perspective, and not just within the organization, but outside of it. As the business manager and president, I was able to work with SGB and Student Affairs in order to get more funding for the organization. And that required the ability to explain what we did, encapsulate that in a way that these organizations would want to help us, and required a lot of collaboration with other students as well. So really, I learned just how to instigate and start projects myself, how to be a self-starter and an entrepreneur. That is something that I feel like I learned a lot from being in UPTV. I also learned a lot of technical skills with editing and story writing, as well as collaborative works with my peers, how to lead a team. My advice to current UPTV members is to take every chance you can to learn and make the experience wholly yours and have fun. That's what this is all about. After I graduated, I already had a job lined up in Harrisburg for working for corporate video. I was an editor and an associate producer at that studio. Eventually, I decided that it was time that I move on to LA. So without much savings or even a job, I went out there to try and make it into the industry. I gave myself a few goals that if I couldn't meet at a certain amount of time, I'd have to go back home. So that really made me stay focused and put my nose to the grind to get work done. I was helped by John Paul Horseman, an alum from Pitt, who also founded UPTV 21. He got me an interview with an editor at New Line, and from there I became a post PA and afterwards a post-production coordinator for BET, Sci-Fi, Adult Swim, and Lifetime. From there, I transitioned to being a network post-production coordinator because I wanted to pursue the producing route on post. When you are in the producing side, it's a lot easier to make decisions. There's a lot more respect that comes with the role amongst the post-production team. So I made the calculation that I could be more involved in bigger projects quicker by being in the post-producing world than if I were to hang out and be an assistant editor for 10 years until I became an editor. I think like most film students, I thought that I was going to go into the creative directing roles or writing and be a showrunner one day. Those are all things you have to work your way up to in Hollywood. But as a student, when you are writing and creating your own works and directing, you're also probably going to end up being your own editor as well. So those became essential skills I had to learn. And when I got to Hollywood, those were skills that were really in demand. So I came up to Hollywood intending to be an editor for a while I figured out what other paths in the industry I could pursue. I knew I wanted to be involved with movie making or filmmaking in general, and I knew I wanted to be part of the culture out here. I just didn't know how. And editing and post-production is a safe space to figure that out. A lot of people assume it's magic, so you're given a lot of autonomy, but you're also given a lot of access pretty quickly when you have only the producers and directors in your cutting room asking for your opinion on such decisions on cuts or inclusions of lines. So definitely post-production was the easiest way to break in for me, and I had a skill set to back that up from my time at UPTV. Through the connections I made while being a post coordinator at BET and Lifetime, I was able to take a job at Turner, which transformed into Warner Media and became the network post-production coordinator for scripted content on TNT, TBS, True TV, and HBO Max. And today, I'm now a post-production coordinator for HBO and HBO Max Scripted Originals. No is said a lot in the industry, but when I was at UPTV, I think I learned how to deal with no, because no was also said a lot to me there. When I was at UPTV, we were an organization with a big reputation around campus. And the film studies program didn't have a large production commitment. So the idea of needing to produce things was something that I needed to sell people on. And no was something that you could count on hearing every single time. And it wasn't a case of, people being power hungry or anything like that. It's a case of people wanting to put resources where they understand them to be relevant. And when I came to understand that, I could figure out how to make what I wanted to have happen relevant to their needs. And in Hollywood, there is a lot of no happening as well, even if you have that figured out. But each time someone says no, it's a blessing. It is an affirmation that that's not a door you wanted to walk through. And it's also a learning experience for you to hone your skills and figure out what's going to work the next time. It also teaches you maybe they weren't concerned about what you thought they were concerned about, and that gives you an opportunity to learn more about what they do. No is just it's a huge part of life, particularly in a massive corporation that I'm in, and it's just something that you have to learn to navigate around. When I first got to LA, I sent out 300 applications to jobs, working on any set I could find. Every single show listing there was, I I sent out a resume to. There were a number of online services that could help speed up the process. So I was clicking apply to everything I possibly could, and I only got three from out of those 300 some odd application processes I did. Only three bit, and it was for CBS, NBC, and Universal Films. And I had turned down all of them for something I didn't even actually send an application in for, the job that John Paul arranged for me to have an interview with. When I interviewed with the editor liked hearing what I had to say. He thought that I was a good fit for the team and looped me in. And that weekend, I had a job on a major film. So, all 200 and some odd of those rejections from other teams was perfect because it allowed me to pursue an opportunity with New Line that jump-started my career. It's a lot of rejection, but the acceptance when you get it, it's like finding a needle in a haystack or the diamond in the rough. It's great. It's a great feeling. Everyone's journey is their own and different. There are certain points when I was just starting out that other people from Pittsburgh had amazing jobs, it seemed, and their own paths going forward. But honestly, looking back, I wouldn't trade any moment, any of those rejections or any of those days where it didn't seem like it was going my way for anything, because it led to where I'm at now, which is a great position. And it's been, it's taken me a while to get here. Is as fast as some people might think it is. It's been 7 years since I graduated, maybe more. So it's the better part of a decade to get to where I am. I'd say the first time that I really had a memorable, like, wow, this is fun moment was when I drove onto the Warner Brothers lot for work. Just getting to be at a studio that I always wanted to be at within a month of arriving in LA and being in an industry that I always wanted to be in. It was all so cool to have finally gotten to the place I dreamed about my whole life. And that was a really fun moment to feel like I'd made it when I was earning minimum wage. When COVID put us all on lockdown in LA, we started working remotely, and in post-production, that was we were one of the few departments that was able to keep working. While production shut down on most sets, and certainly shows that were had yet to have an assembly done by an editor were stalled in their post departments, other ones could keep going because everything had already been shot, and they could just get the episodes that they had finished and ready to go, so we could have something to air. So our post teams were maybe down for like a week while we set up new equipment in their offices at home and got them new internet connections so that we could all work remotely and view. It's certainly taken the in-person aspect of filmmaking away from Hollywood during that time. So instead of having executives and producers meet each other on mixed stages and hearing audio together, we had to find creative workarounds to allow them to see sound effects mixes remotely. So that was required the use of platforms like Evercast and Pix, and training our people on how to work it and use it and have it work consistently whenever we had need for it. I think it's instilled in the business and post-production side of the industry how much we can get done remotely these days. Before, there's a lot of in-person, there was a lot of in-person activity going on, and now we figured out how to host parties, premiere parties online. We figured out how to do wrap parties online, how to send thank you gifts and things like that without having to need that in-person connection. Certainly, all of us can't wait to get back into the office and see each other again, but we're already seeing it's going to be at a much more limited capacity, only going to the office a few days of the week and having team meetings together and using the rest of the time at home to save the commute and the frustrations that can raise in Los Angeles, but also have us be more productive employees when we're able to not be so stressed in the office from life being put on hold at home. Every day is different. That's what I love about working in the entertainment industry. There's always a new fire to put out, or always a new skill set to learn. There's always a new problem to find a new solution for that no one else has thought of. I don't really like routine. I like having, I am a creative person, so I do enjoy having a puzzle to solve. And every single day I get a new puzzle to solve, whether it's figuring out how to navigate this political situation or how to implement a new organizational structure for a show, or the best way that I can set up an account for one of our executives to view things the way that they want to. There's always something new to deal with. There's always something new to learn. And as someone who loves learning, it's been a great experience so far. Future goals I've always had for myself are one day be a writer. And the stability I've been able to find in my post-production work has allowed me to continue pursuing that idea while working and living in LA. I'm currently on track to have, after being 10 years in Los Angeles, have my own script out and be pitching it. So I gave myself a lot of time to learn the lay of the land, learn what people were looking for when it came to ideas, especially being in the post room and listening to them. And also just figuring out the politics and business of the industry. There's a lot of things that you can do to help your writing and help your ideas come to life, knowing what is going to attract investment and what greenlighters are looking to greenlight. There's a legend that Betty Davis was being interviewed on a talk show, and when she was asked for advice on what's the best way for actors to break into Hollywood, she said, take Fountain. And Fountain's a central boulevard in LA that takes you right through Hollywood. It barely has any traffic or stop signs. But her underlying point is that everyone has a unique path into there. So you just got to show up. You have to find the quickest way you can to get to where you want to be and show the people in front of you that you know their needs and that you can take care of them. So that's my advice, is show up.